So my question to you is, where you acquire those skills, is it kind of an intrinsic, or is just the fact that perhaps you gather by other experiences, you felt this is the way to work it?
I think for me the issue is power. There's a cartoon that I have in my office by Hagar the Horrible. People know Hagar? Okay. He's the Viking. So the oracle asked Hagar, what do you want, power or gold or happiness? And Hagar says, power, because then I can get the gold and then I'll be happy. Okay? And I used to talk about it with different students. They would chase the money. When they graduated, they want to have money. And I saw it and said, no, I can understand. The difference was I wanted to have the power. So I wanted to have the, the Oakleys on the collar, those kind of things. I wanted to be treated. I didn't want to start again. I had an issue with IBM wanting to hire me. And they said, look, we got to start you off here. You got to start at the bottom. But look at it this way. You'll be in a Corvette and you'll go very fast. And the other people, they'll be like in a Volkswagen. And I said, no. I said, if I'm a Corvette, I want to park in the Corvette parking lot. See, I don't want to start at the bottom. I've already been a second lieutenant. I don't want to do that. And I don't really care about the money. I really don't care about the money. They want to try to convince me to come to the Xerox for the money. I said, no, I want position, I want responsibility, I want some people. And I knew that if I had people, I could make a difference. So I wanted people and responsibility, and I can make a difference. The money would come because they pay people who are responsible and have people, they pay them more money. But you got to focus on why they're paying them more money and are you adding value. So people were thinking, oh, if they pay me money, then I'm important. No, the issue is go add importance and value to what you're doing, and then people will pay you compensation for that. So people have I think, the goal structured wrong. What I looked at doing was, again, trying to know yourself. What were the powers that I had? I knew organizations. I knew that there was a system of power and autonomy and knowing the right kinds of people from my background in the Marines and also in community kinds of organizations and in athletics. So I knew that it wasn't just the God-given talent. If you wanted to be on the All-Marine basketball team, you had to not only be a good basketball player, but you had to fit into the system. You had to be able to get orders. You had to be able to do a good job when you were with your command so that they would allow you to go. You had to know how to write the orders and how to get the government travel and all those kinds of things to scheme a way of going through it. So a lot of those skills that where I learned the skills, probably those skills while I was at PIMS in New York. You know what PIMS program? Probably you guys would. PINS, it's a designation given to you by the court systems in our country. It's called a person in need of supervision. It's when you're a juvenile delinquent. So what happens is you find out ways of how do you get over against the establishment. So when I went to high school in New York, I had 6,000 boys in one high school. And so in order to thrive, and I was in a city, New York City, I mean, there was lots of people, so you had to figure out who was going to take care of yourself. I grew up with 8 brothers and sisters, so learning the networks or the systems about who has what power and who has what authority and how do you work one against the other were all important things that in looking at how I was going to work and get the idea done, that was the least the most important thing I needed to figure out with my team of people was how to get it done, not what. People have this notion that if they just have an idea, or if they have a better basketball, or if they have better sneakers, then they can win. Or if they go to a better school, or if they have better clothes, then somehow they're going to be successful. But I think it's not about those things. So people don't have a clear aspect of who they are. So then when you start trying to figure out who other people are, you have to have your own base, and your own philosophical reference clear. So then I take this group called the MIAC, and I want them to do different things. I know that they're all in a different headset. They're all corporate officers. They sort of like have their key to the washroom, and they want their strokes. So the issue is I just figure out what are their hot buttons. The size IBM wants this, and they want that, and they want to feel good at the meeting. So great, I don't care. Dishes, great. Get the china, get this. Sonia, here we go. Make them feel good. Take them to places. Schedule a meeting in some other place because the U.S. people don't get to go to Europe. So put the meeting in Europe and figure that out. And since they're never talking to each other because they're always so busy with all their meetings, you go and you cut the different deals with the people. And so when, and you always present things. I used to work, Roger Fisher and Bill Urey did this book on getting to yes and things. And when I was at Harvard, I worked with the negotiating project on sports negotiation and trying to figure out how to negotiate. And so if I knew I could save people money, it was very pedantic trying to come up with the money that you would save. The question was who was going to support whose idea in a big corporation, not if they had ideas. Corporations have lots of ideas. And they can always get consultants to borrow your watch and tell you what time it is and all those other things. And having the idea is like having a better basketball. That's not the issue. The issue is, can you get them to follow your idea? Can you get consensus? Can you even get if once if you're managing up, support your idea, can you get the people that you're working with to follow you? And half of the time the answer is no. So they fight to get the chance to have their idea, and then they can't sell it, and they don't have any support from it even in their own ranks. So you got to know your troops, you got to know your people, and you got to take care of them, nurture them, and all those things. And then you don't care what it is because you know you can get it done if you get the call. And then the question is, can you get the call? So if you need money, you go figure out who has money, and you say, what a value can I do for my customer? The person that has money, I need their money. How can I get the money? Well, I need some value. So we have a saying in the Marines: when you're surrounded, it doesn't matter what direction you attack. So the question is, we were surrounded with opportunities in multinational logistics. I mean, the bottom line for the case is, so far, we've taken out $700 million of inventory. So once you get an organization in place and you have all these vice presidents with conflicting interests that have all these egos, the issue becomes, how can you get them to work together despite themselves? Because each of them has an ability to impact the other person. But I say people, Yasser Arafat said something I'll share with you when he was questioned a few years ago. People know who he is? Yeah. The 1,000-yard stairs, right? So he said, I have no permanent friends or permanent enemies, just permanent interests. And I think that the same thing works in a corporation. That people will sell you down the tubes. It's not... And the issue is, you have to figure out what are their interests. So I would go up to somebody who had an interest and say, they really need this system put in? I say, good. And then instead of saying, I wasn't a cost-based thing, I looked at myself as a profit center. So, oh, you need this? Good. How much is it? I say, well, why do you need it? I had them convince me first why they needed it. And they say, please work on my project. I need it because I can do this, this, this. And so I do a chart. Oh, that's worth about $5 million to you this year. I can do it for $1 million. You'll make $4 million. It would cost me $400,000 to do it. I'd have $600,000 profit. I looked at that as that was 12 people, because on a going base of $50,000 per person, I needed more people. The more people I had, the more things I could do. And I wanted to work on things that were on my agenda, so I had to have some reserves. I need to have people working on my agenda if I believed that, because I saw that if I had value, I can do things. So I couldn't have everybody committed up front doing projects. I need to have a reserve and have people. I need to hire smart people. So I started doing strange things, hiring people that had credentials. So they had master's degrees in systems and things like that. All of those things, continuing education, I sent them to school. So I needed to have enough resources that I could tell people, you two guys, go to school. And but I needed to have enough money to pay them while they're going to school, because I knew if they came back, just come back with one idea. Go to a conference, come back with one idea. We throw the ideas in a big pot.